We've actually built everything from scratch, so all the levels have been redesigned.
This is a game, I feel like, more than any other, since like maybe Solitaire, that appeals to all ages.
We've got a lot of technology that we didn't have, 15 years ago?
We've taken a hard look at, what else can we do? Because we don't want to just do a compilation.
When we looked into making this game, the canteen is literally a room of
got online
an
multiplayer.
actual town.
We've got new levels. We've got new bonus levels.
The trailer we did has the mumbling stuff in it.
Brand new levels.
And there's also a wild 50 ships
we're looking at
as well. Something that might have been a level in the past is now maybe.
We're
saying over 200, and still the reason we're not like confirming to a specific.
The only thing I can say right now is just sit tight and stay tuned.
Back in the olden days of the console, this was 1865, I believe, I played my video games on the Xbox, the one that had a big ol' X on the top of it. And one of my favorite games was this one, Sneakers. I also kinda liked LEGO Star Wars. I actually rummaged through all my old games just to find this for this clip. I knew I still had it. Also, was that a cool transition? Wasn't that cool? I spent a long time on that. Now, this version of LEGO Star Wars only came with episodes 1 through 3 with a demo episode 4 level. And this game was pretty fun and had my favorite hub area. Dexter's Diner, baby, hey! It also had the original pod race level where if you even graze a rock, you just insta-die. Then came the Complete Saga, the exact same game but now with the original trilogy from the second game mashed into one. Which at the time I didn't care much for in the LEGO games as the prequels were always the funniest to me and had the best setting for a video game adaptation. But of course these were still pretty good to my recollection. After many years, the Skywalker Saga got announced, and I was of course excited and bought that shit right away. I mean, a modernized LEGO Star Wars game, if it was in any way better than the original, I knew I was gonna love it. I hated it. It looks great, don't get me wrong, but gameplay-wise I still think the original had so much more heart put into it. I couldn't help but remember enjoying the original games much more. And you'll have to deal with the choppy recording when it comes to the Skywalker Saga because this game's optimization is awful when it comes to graphics. So I decided to go back and play through the Complete Saga as I made my way through the Skywalker Saga to see if this sequel was truly warranted. And I'll go through both of them in sections to try and make this less confusing. So first let's compare the overall look of the games graphics-wise and how it handles the whole LEGO gimmick. To me, the LEGO pieces and characters just stand out so much better in the Complete Saga because they couldn't go overboard with the graphics since this was 2009 and have everything be made out of LEGO. So things like the floor and wall are just basic meshes that don't need to be high detail because it's LEGO. Meanwhile, in the Skywalker Saga, nearly everything is made up of LEGO, and not just a couple of pieces, many pieces. Which in theory sounds cool, but there's just so much on screen all made up of such tiny pieces. I mean, look at this black and red bomb thing. From the screenshot, I can count 20 pieces of LEGO just from this angle. Now look at the same bomb thing in the original, 9 pieces in total, and that's not just the angle, the entire thing is 9 pieces. Okay, so looking back at the free play footage, it may actually be 15 pieces, judging by how it breaks apart, but the point still stands considering the simplicity of this one versus this one. And here, looking at how many pieces the Star Destroyer at the beginning of A New Hope is made out of, then look back at the older version. Sometimes less detail fits a gimmick like LEGO a lot better. It also makes things like the way you break this door look so much cooler because you can see each and every piece of it fall apart and shift. And here, when you break a wall in the Skywalker Saga, it just kinda shoots down real quick. The same goes for the building mechanic. You see exactly how the pieces slowly fit together to make whatever shape they make right here. The Skywalker Saga discontinues this mechanic in favor of just breaking shit to get money. So overall, graphics-wise, sure, the Skywalker Saga probably looks better in the sense of how modern it is and realistic with the lighting and dirt on characters and stuff like that. But the Complete Saga has a lot more character and sticking with the whole gimmick of LEGO, with everything that's made out of LEGO being interactive in some way. To me, the Skywalker Saga didn't really benefit from the fact of being LEGO as much as the original, mainly in a lot of smaller details too. Camera placement took a big change. Now we have a third-person camera view that you control as opposed to a fixed camera of the original. And while in some aspects this newer camera placement is better, it also takes away from some levels in the game. For example, look at the first Jango Fett boss fight on Kamino. The fixed camera makes it so the ship and Jango are always in view for the fight. Meanwhile here, you're just focused on Jango. This isn't a major problem, but I found that playing the Complete Saga felt a lot more like playing the movies because of this, especially during the boss fights. with modern day LEGO games, they've ditched the show don't tell form of storytelling they did with no voice acting at all to now using voice actors. And while I love hearing the Clone Wars actors get to do their thing again, I can't help but feel that the direction they were given wasn't all that great, and that the Skywalker Saga spends more time on useless parts of the story while glossing over the more important stuff. Like, let's do a quick rundown of some Episode 1 differences. After you save the Queen and go to Tatooine in the complete saga, you go directly back to Naboo for the final act. This makes sense in a video game adaptation of this movie, as all they do in between this is some political talking. However, in the Skywalker Saga, they must have thought this was important because you go to Coruscant, do a trailing mission, watch a cutscene where Darth Maul says Utini, then go back. This isn't awful, I suppose? Unnecessary, sure, but let's keep going. When you return to Naboo in the original to seek out the help of the Gungan army, you go straight to the new place that they're hanging out at. While back in modern day, you have to walk all the way through the Gungan city, and all the way back, then you get to talk to them. Even in the movie, the fact that they were somewhere other than the city was done in a single line from Jar Jar because not everyone looks at this and says, what the heck, why are they in the city, There was just too much meaningless running around and trailing missions in the Skywalker Saga that I got extremely bored from compared to the complete saga. No one likes trailing missions. So many of the story points were just sped through, too. Like, right after the crash landing in Revenge of the Sith, the Chancellor just immediately says,
I'm appointing you to be my personal representative on the Jedi Council.
Or when Obi-Wan finds out Anakin turned to the dark side.
It can't be. It can't be. Use your feelings, Obi-Wan, and find him, you will.
But no, let's have a mission where I serve food in a diner in a Star Wars game. Now that's what I want.
Thanks for the show and tell, but that is not the photon fizzle I ordered.
Also, wait, why is Captain Typho white? Did no one else notice this? But what I think affected the Skywalker Saga's story most was the forced comedy. The sanctity of LEGO games is always held together by its simplistic comedy style. This is some old school cartoon shit, where instead of telling you the joke, they show you the joke. The complete saga does this pretty well while knowing when it's time to drop the comedy for a semi-serious moment. Still, make it a little silly because it's LEGO, sure, but don't take away from the impact the moment holds. Now the Skywalker sagas I can only describe as forced. Right out the gate it tells you exactly what you're in for in episode 1. There's a traffic stop in space with the droids, then the Chancellor sitting behind the Viceroy on Skype and a picture of the Queen with knives in it is there. Then you get to Naboo and there was a moment where the ship hits the Viceroy. I get it, cause he got hit really hard. What great slapstick. Also, Qui-Gon's death is played for laughs, which, why? In the complete saga, the first joke you see is when the ship gets blown up and the pilots die. The fact that they die isn't what's made funny though, it's how they handle killing LEGO characters with the classic cartoon look at each other in midair while floating then fall. Not laugh out loud funny, sure, but worth maybe a quick exhale out of the nose. It's also one of the only 2 jokes in the level, the other one being Obi-Wan trying to be cool and Liam Neeson looking at him with fatherly disappointment. The game knows when to shut up and let you play. This game don't do that. I mean, I like funny games, because they're funny, but this is just, come on, man. And now for the only thing that truly matters when it comes to the critique of a game. How does it play? Well, I could forgive everything else if the gameplay wasn't fucking ass. The Skywalker Saga's combat is very fluid and continuous when it comes to lightsaber characters, but characters with blasters or just nothing don't really feel any different from them, which is where my disappointment lies. In the complete saga, each character's moves are different. Do they have the same hitbox? Sure, but this was 2009, we weren't that advanced yet. It's used as another great way of storytelling without speaking, especially because certain characters can't attack, which makes sense. It makes sense that C-3PO can't beat the shit out of somebody. In episode 2 and 3, we see that while playing as Anakin, you're doing all these crazy flips, meanwhile while playing as Obi-Wan, he doesn't do that. This is a visual demonstration of which characters are stronger than others lore-wise. Mace Windu does this weird delayed flip, Anakin does a backflip, and Yoda's just all over the place. There's a big change to health too, going from health points to health bars. It's a change that didn't matter to me because I didn't think it would make any difference. But in the process, we lost some of that LEGO style I was talking about. For instance, C-3PO had 4 health points, so hit him 4 times and he dies. But because he's a robot, they made it so he loses a limb for each health point lost, hence you have a C-3PO hopping around on 1 foot. This, along with the combat changes to me, made every fight consist of just mashing the X button until you won. A good example of this would be the droid, the ones with the shield. Originally, you do a double jump attack to break the shield so you can hit him in the first place. In the Skywalker Saga, you just mash X. The Jango Fett boss fight consists of having to get the ship off you using R4 and the turrets while deflecting shots back at him and force pushing his own rockets back into him. In the Skywalker Saga, you mash X. This is actually perfect because I found boss fights to be amazing in the complete saga, all having their own unique spin to them, while the ones in the Skywalker Saga were mainly... can you guess? Mashing X. I mean, just listen to this audio of me fighting this guy. In LEGO games in particular, each boss fight has a set of break phases where the boss jumps off somewhere else to throw a new type of combat mechanic at you. Maul throws random shit at you, Dooku lightnings you, and as previously mentioned, Jango Fett starts throwing rockets at you or starts running in a circle. The main consistencies throughout these break phases for the complete saga is that they aren't time-based in any way, so you can finish them extremely fast to basically speedrun the boss fight if you want. This is where the problem lies in the Skywalker Saga, because you can't kill a bunch of super battle droids that fast, you can't climb up walls faster, and you can't solve these stupid puzzles any faster. The beginning of the Sidious fight is literally waiting. Why? There are just so many whys to this game. Why is there a level about giving people food? Why are these minigames so terrible? I would have preferred the classic just press B on them. Why do the combos not feel like actual combos? Why is the voice acting so bad? Why does a game that was made in 2022 play like a 2009 game, and a game made in 2009 plays like a modern one? I miss the simplicity, because while change and evolution are a good thing when it comes to gaming, developers really need to know when to do a remaster or a remake. Only Force people can build. People that can't fight, can't fight. Special uses per character in the action of simply having them there. Dark side people to break the black bars, bounty hunters to blow up the metal, Jar Jar to reach high places. It just speaks volumes enough to me that I went back to play more of the complete saga, including free play mode, but never found myself thinking, man, I want to play the new LEGO Star Wars. Sometimes we just gotta leave well enough alone. So if you like the new LEGO Star Wars, I envy you, and I'm glad some people are having a fun time with it, but for me, I'll stick with this one. So which one wins? Which LEGO Star Wars do I prefer? I think it's fairly obvious, don't you? LEGO Star Wars 3 The Clone Wars, baby! Hey!